Welcome back to the Relaxing Ghost channel here on YouTube. As always, your host with the most, Ghost. Today we got a response video to the DVD Freak. This is gonna be top 5 guilty pleasure pay-per-view DVDs. I did try to stick with the pay-per-views or the DVDs for this one because there's a lot of VHS tapes I've watched, countless times. So I'm gonna try to stick with the DVDs, like I said. So these are kind of like, pay-per-views I would say you personally liked, but really don't have great reviews or things like that. So let's get into this top 5 guilty pleasure pay-per-view DVDs. At number 5 here, I'm gonna have Bad Blood from 2003. 2003 is a mixed bag for me because at points in time I love it and at points in time I can't stand it. But Bad Blood 2003, it's one of those shows, I think just because at the time, I was watching it live, watching Raw, watching SmackDown consistently every week. I remember the build for this incredibly. Austin had just became the, co-general manager. Kevin Nash was back. And this was billed to their Hell in a Cell match. Overall, probably not the best show. A lot of people hate on the Triple H, Kevin Nash, Hell in a Cell match. But I like it. I do. We also got a great match between Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair. Moments, 5 years before their, epic WrestleMania match. Goldberg versus Chris Jericho. And we had the very fun Austin Bischoff Redneck Triathlon. This was a fun show overall. And can't say enough good stuff about it. I really enjoyed it. Number 4, gonna go with Vengeance 2001. This might be a fairly good show overall, but I think it's a really great show. It was a crowning moment here for Chris Jericho becoming the first undisputed heavyweight champion. It's one of those moments you'll never forget. We had the rise of Trish Stratus, Jeff Hardy versus Matt Hardy. Awesome hardcore match with Undertaker and RVD. And then Jericho defeating The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin in the same night. Next up here is going to be another one from 2003. Unforgiven 2003. I would, again, what I consider to be good and great and bad is, completely my opinion. But I thought this was a fairly good show. We now have Kane unmasked, which was always cool to me. I thought this show was pretty loaded. Again, we got, 6-man table match, triple threat match for the IC title. Shawn Michaels versus Randy Orton. This is during the whole Legend versus Legend killer. Shane McMahon versus Kane. And Triple H versus Goldberg. Goldberg finally winning the world title. So, not the best match overall, but a pretty good, memorable moment. And again, this is at a point in 2003. I think at Bad Blood, Evolution was just in the beginning stages here. Batista, I believe, was out with an injury. But by September, I believe Batista was finally here. There's no mention of even Flair or Batista anywhere. But I do remember, all the interruptions and things like that. Next up here, I am going to go with WrestleMania 18. You talk about a pay-per-view I've watched countless times. WrestleMania 18 definitely checks that box. And, looking back at it, it probably is a middle of the road WrestleMania. But again, we're fresh off the heels of the Attitude Era. Got some flying hair or something. What was that? We're fresh off the heels of the Attitude Era, and the NWO, which is one of my all-time favorite moments, finally coming into WWE. We're in Toronto, Canada, a rabid crowd here, and I thought this show was put together pretty good. Could have been a lot better, but we still have some final moments of the hardcore title. William Regal and RVD, pretty good. Ric Flair versus The Undertaker really surprised the hell out of me. That is an amazing match. I'm a fan of the Austin Scott Hall match. I know both of those men look back at that match and they're not a fan of it. But Hogan, Rock, epic match. And then Triple H and Jericho. As a match and moment itself, it's a really good moment and a really good match. But following Rock Hogan, it's an impossible task. We all know that. But, Triple H came back, missing 9 months out with an injured quad, and finally winning the WWE Championship. So that's my number 2 or whatever, however order we're going. And finally, Invasion. Yes, Invasion. It's the Invasion. I'll be honest with you guys. I absolutely love this show. This is the show I have probably watched the most. Other than, WrestleManias and, SummerSlams and Rumbles and things like that, I would probably go to Invasion. All the chaos of the Alliance, the WCW, ECW stuff. This was an awesome time to be a fan. And seeing all of the talent finally coming into WWF, finally, it just, gets all your gears turning and all the possibilities that you could finally think of. I mean, it's really cool to think of, but it sucks to see the direction they ended up going. We cannot control what contracts were up for grabs, what guys decided to take a buyout, and what guys decided to sit their contracts through. So it really can factor a lot of things in. But overall, this is probably one of my favorite shows of all time. And, it's one of my guilty pleasure DVDs and pay-per-views. Absolutely love this show. The shock heel turn of Austin at the end. I think this was a better job of turning Austin heel than they did at WrestleMania. And there's like 10, 11 matches on here. 10 matches on the pay-per-view. Incredible stuff. They finally got Austin back as an awesome babyface, and then he finally turned heel the right way, joining the Alliance, joining WCW, ECW, RVD and Jeff Hardy, awesome match. Tajiri and Taz had a fairly good match. William Regal and Raven, odd mesh of styles. Billy Kidman and X-Pac, 2 very good talent. APA versus Sean O'Hare. I just liked seeing all the titles on the same show. The WWF Tag Champs against the WCW Tag Champs, the Cruiserweight Champ versus the Light Heavyweight Champion. It was a really cool time to be a wrestling fan, and let me know your top 5 guilty pleasure pay-per-views, guys. comment down below. We'll talk to you later. Peace.